You're not you when you're hungry. Don't slow down. Snickers it. So, did you recognize those advertising slogans? I'm sure you did. After all, it's hard to imagine a more popular chocolate bar than Snickers, a bar that's famous for killing hunger and, in many cases, even replacing a full meal. And honestly, it's true. This high-calorie, delicious bar made of milk chocolate, nougat, peanuts, and caramel has saved many of us from a growling stomach and helped fight off hunger more than once. But here's the thing. Aside from its famous slogan, most people don't actually know that much about this product. Many even believe that the brands we'll talk about in this video are competitors. And believe me, friends, Snickers has a surprisingly interesting history. It's worth noting that similar products existed before, but they never became truly popular. And that was long before Snickers managed to conquer the world. The creator of this sweet, universally loved bestseller was Franklin Mars, an American entrepreneur, business magnate, and confectioner. But in reality, his life was both fascinating and deeply sad. His story proves that even if you start with nothing, or more precisely, as a disabled child from a poor family, you can still achieve incredible success. But as always, let's take it step by step. Franklin was born in 1883 in Newport, Minnesota, into a poor family. At an early age, he was diagnosed with polio, which left him able to move only with the help of crutches. Because of this, Franklin barely communicated with anyone, and of course couldn't attend school like other kids his age. He spent most of his days in the kitchen with his mother, who made various sweets to sell and then took them to the local market. I'm sure that if Franklin had had the chance to get a proper education back then, he wouldn't have had to wait so long, and he could have easily mastered the profession of his dreams. But let's get back to Franklin, who became his mother's first and only assistant. Even then, he knew he wanted to dedicate his adult life to making sweets, and that's exactly what happened. As a young man, the first thing he did was find his place in the world of trade. At the same time, he never gave up on the idea of starting his own small production. Let's be honest, for some people, a small neighborhood shop is more than enough. But that option wasn't for Franklin. In his mind, there was only one idea: to build a major company, one so big that the whole world would hear about it. But all of that was still just a dream. As always, the real journey had to start small. From the age of 12, our hero helped his mother prepare all kinds of sweets. And when he turned 16, he began making candies at home himself, then delivering them to the market for his mother to sell from a small stand. That's when Franklin had the idea that he could produce much larger quantities right from home. The problem was that his mother's sales volume wasn't very high. So he decided to expand the geography and started offering his products to nearby shops. Overall, customers liked what he was selling, and by the time he turned 18, Franklin was supplying around 10 stores with his sweets. The money he earned was enough for food and small expenses, but he couldn't grow the business any further. The kitchen had space for only one person, and the idea of building his own factory took root in his mind. Then one day, while delivering goods to yet another shop, he met a young woman named Ethel. They quickly found common ground. And jumping ahead a bit, just a few months later, she became his wife. According to biographers, Ethel wasn't just a devoted wife, she was also his business partner. Even when Franklin tried 3 times to open his own store and went bankrupt all 3 times, there was always a woman behind him. Someone who didn't just inspire him, but became his main source of support in every new venture. Only at the age of 28 did the couple finally manage to open their own candy shop. This time, they didn't spend money on rent, they opened it right in their home. You might be surprised, but all the sales were made through the Mars family's kitchen window. Word about their unusual sweets spread through the neighborhood so quickly that before long, a solid line of customers was forming outside. In reality, none of this was easy for the Mars family. At night, they worked on making chocolate bars and candies, and in the morning, they sold everything in the shop, taking breaks only for lunch. Sales began to grow rapidly, which led them to the idea of founding a company. The name didn't take long to choose. In 1911, the Marobar brand was officially registered. Just a few months later, they rented a small workshop and hired a couple of confectioners. And only 2 years after that, the small operation grew into its first real factory, located in a nearby suburb of Chicago. By 1918, the company's staff had grown to 125 employees, and its products were being delivered across almost the entire city. In 1920, Frank Mars decided to move to Minneapolis, where he created his first major hit, the Milky Way bar, a chocolate bar coated in milk chocolate with a light vanilla nougat filling. It's worth noting that this bar didn't appear by accident. Back in 1904, Franklin Mars and his wife Ethel had a son named Forrest. It was Forrest who ultimately inspired Mars Sr. to create the candy bars we know today. One day, Frank went to a store with his son Forrest. The boy asked his father to buy him some chocolate. The problem was that at the time, chocolate was sold only by weight. For most people with a sweet tooth, that was inconvenient, especially during hot summer days. Even if you tried to eat it carefully, chocolate melted quickly in the sun and made it very easy to get messy. That was the moment when Frank thought, why not sell small pieces of chocolate wrapped in foil? The idea seemed promising. After talking it over with his wife, he decided it was worth a try. And that's how, friends, the Milky Way bar was born, a product that became a sales hit for the young Mars Company in just a matter of days. During the years of the Great Depression in the United States, when many factories and plants were shut down and production came to a halt, Franklin sold his bar for just 5 cents. By 1925, the new candy bar had been recognized as a market leader. Sales kept climbing, and the company continued expanding into new markets. Gradually, step by step, Franklin Mars's product lineup grew with new items. Among them were Mars Almond, a chocolate bar with almonds, Three Musketeers, a chocolate bar made of light, fluffy whipped nougat coated in chocolate, and the legendary Snickers bar. It's believed that the name Snickers came from the family's favorite horse, which was kept in the stables they owned. There's even a theory that the horse died just a few months before mass production of the bar began. And had that not happened, the chocolate bar might have had a very different name. The first Snickers bars were sold for 20 cents each, not exactly cheap for a candy bar at the time. The core of the bar was a nougat-based filling topped with peanuts and coated in chocolate, all wrapped in milk chocolate. In the new location, the business didn't just grow, it flourished. Company sales reached $700,000 by 1924, which was an absolutely astronomical amount of money for that era. This success allowed Franklin to open another factory in a suburb of Chicago and even rename the company to Mars Candies, later known as Mars Incorporated. It's also worth pointing out that Franklin and Ethel weren't just skilled confectioners and successful business people, they were excellent parents as well. After all, it's not uncommon to see children spoiled by a luxurious lifestyle grow up without any real ambition. And why would they strive for anything if they already have everything? Franklin was afraid of exactly that, which is why he constantly tried to motivate his son. He involved him in the family business and gave him simple tasks that young Forrest handled remarkably well. Franklin and Ethel made sure their son received a solid education at Yale University and overall raised a very bright young man. And when Mars Jr. realized that he wanted to explore new horizons and no longer depend on his father, he already had a clear vision of what he wanted to do in life. Just a few months after graduating from university, Forrest left the United States, and his new home became the United Kingdom. There, he bought a building in the small town of Slough, hired employees, and started his own confectionery production. Looking ahead, it was at this very factory that the legendary Mars bar was created, a bar made of nougat and milk chocolate. By the way, the recipe for the Mars bar hasn't changed to this day, although its size and the proportions of its main ingredients have varied over the years. In the early 1930s, Franklin's son, Forrest Mars, together with William Murray, founded the company M&M's, where the world-famous M&M's candies were produced. But Mars Jr. had no intention of stopping there. Forrest continued expanding the product line by acquiring the company Uncle Ben's, a brand of quick cooking rice and related food products. At the time, Uncle Ben's held a leading position among producers of instant rice. Meanwhile, back in the United States, the core divisions of the company led by Franklin began actively entering new markets and even producing pet food under the brands Whiskas and Pedigree. Overall, Franklin had grand ambitions and brilliant plans, but sadly, they were never fully realized. In 1934, the founder of the company passed away, suddenly due to heart failure. All of his sweet empire was passed on to his only heir, Forrest. By that time, what had once been a small confectionery business had already grown into a major corporation with an annual turnover of around $30 million. An interesting fact: in the United Kingdom and Ireland, the Snickers bar was originally sold under the name Marathon. The company positioned the bar as a nutritious food for physical activity. That approach lasted until 1990, when Mars decided to unify the name worldwide. So today, the bar is called the same everywhere. A Snickers bar contains about 507 calories per 100 grams, which is why it fills you up so quickly. You can even make a bet with a friend that they won't be able to eat 10 Snickers bars in one sitting. You'll win that bet every time. By the way, Snickers was originally marketed as a snack that could replace a full meal. For the same reason, it became especially popular during military conflicts. For example, during the Gulf War, American soldiers often used Snickers as a quick meal. As for production capacity and interesting facts about the company and its products, there's plenty to be surprised by. Every single day, more than 150 tons of peanuts are used to make Snickers bars. The corporation's largest factory in Chicago produces nearly 800 bars per minute, or about 48,000 bars per hour. What's even more impressive is that, according to statistics, every fifth person on the planet buys a Snickers bar daily, and every second, roughly 600 chocolate bars are eaten worldwide. As I mentioned earlier, Mars also produces M&M's, Skittles, Bounty, and Milky Way, the same company behind Snickers, as well as Orbit and many other well-known brands. In addition, the company's pet food division boasts an equally wide and famous range of products. Today, Mars Incorporated is the largest privately owned company in the world that is still controlled by a single family. By Forrest's decision, the company was meant to remain a family legacy, and every generation of the Mars family has supported that idea. The corporation is now led by the third generation, the grandchildren of Frank Mars, Jacqueline, Forrest Jr., and John. If you look at the entire history of this company, the conclusion is clear. A small home-based candy operation grew into one of the most popular brands in the world, generating billions in revenue. Thanks to ambition and a true love for the craft, a poor boy on crutches managed not only to leave his name in history, but also to secure enormous wealth for generations to come. As you can see, genius is often simple. You just have to want it. So friends, which product from the Mars lineup do you like the most? Be sure to share your thoughts in the comments. And with that, we'll wrap things up for today. Don't forget to rate the video, and I'll see you soon. Bye.